Dominic has taught us a lot. Ifeanyi has taught us a lot, of which I also learned from those sections. But I think that because we've been seated for a very long time, it will be okay for each and every one of us to stand up and stretch a bit, because that's actually the right thing to do. So please, can we just stand and stretch up and before we get seated again? And Mr. Ogaga, please. So I don't know how many of us are in here at the moment, but I'm going to get 50 papers across, and we all will fill it. It's an activity, and that's because the activity is tied to what I'll be discussing this afternoon on design thinking. For you to be able to design creatively, you first of all would be able to learn how to listen to people. If you don't listen to people, you really would not be able to get a good design out there. Okay, sorry guys, please, we can sit down, I think. Thank you. So like I was saying, if you are unable to listen to what people need, you won't be able to make any meaningful designs. And that's why, apart from the fact that there's evolution, like Dominic talked about, there's also the point of the fact that some ideas get to fail because they refuse actually listening to what people really need. So I have a great tech idea. I've heard so much today about Web3, and I feel there's this solution that is already in my head. I think it's good. That's the idea. We all think it's good without actually getting to check if it is actually good for the users. So the point of actually putting the user in whatever we do is very important. So while that paper is going around, who is helping with the slide? We'll be looking at what design thinking is, why design thinking is important, benefits of design thinking, process and impact analysis. And the idea is, if you don't design a good project or a good idea or maybe a good product, the truth is you won't be able to get fundings. Well done to Verum and what they are doing, because it's only when you go to Lagos that you see lots of these tech companies there, and it feels like, what's really happening in Delta State? Are we existing? It looks like nothing is going on there. So great job, guys. I hope that you get more fundings to also sustain what you're doing. Yeah. So everything is designed. Everything that works is by design, ranging from our phones. Everything that you interact with daily was designed by a person. Our devices, transportation, food, education, organizations. They may not necessarily start out so, but the process work out a model, and once you have a model, you have a design. I guess we're all used to the phones out here, and there was a time that, you're really a great guy if you had these phones. You're among the biggest boys in Nigeria. It made sense, right? The guys that had those phones then were millionaires. Like, it really did make a lot of sense. But the problem with some of these organizations focusing on Nokia is they didn't think ahead. They felt that the problem of man was just to talk to people on the other side, which was actually a problem. But they forgot that over a time, man will be able to get this problem solved and would always keep wanting something new. So talking about you that was wondering of, electronics engineering, and it looks like I'm already not having something to do. It also looks like you can actually design something being an engineer that could work for us. And for our secondary school students, unfortunately, we have teachers in our schools that are actually preparing us for jobs that they don't even know about. So you're having teachers that are not really prepared to teach you what you need to survive in the next 5-10 years. It's just not in medicine. It's not just in engineering. It's in everywhere, right? Even in the tech space, you need to keep growing from time to time, and you need to keep thinking. Because what we do in this part of the world is we allow the white guys think for us, get the solutions out there, and we go take it from them. It's good, but again, we have the manpower, we have great youths. If you go on LinkedIn, you see great Nigerians doing well across all fields of life in different parts of the world. The problem is, when we are home in Nigeria, we don't think. Delsu is not your problem. Uniport is not your problem. Uniben is a great school. Our problem is we don't think. The difference between the guys in foreign universities and those of us in Nigeria are the fact that they have a sense of possibility. They think. So yeah, we most likely will tell you, with the government, it's not going to work. Some of us are already discussing about how government policies could affect blockchain, and we're already bothered about how it's not going to work. A white guy would probably take up that, do his best, and I mean, if it doesn't work, what's the point? At least I tried. And so that's the difference. That's what makes an Harvard graduate an Harvard graduate. And that's what also makes somebody in Uniben just a Uniben graduate. No offenses, anyway. So next slide. Yeah, we have Samsung. Sorry, I'm not dealing with iPhones today. I know they are on the other side. And just to let us know, the essence of building iPhone is for snob appeal. I don't know if you have the idea. It wasn't necessarily to solve problem. It was just to snub the guys that did not really have cash. And the guy knew his market. And he went straight for his market. Right? So when you are not in that class and you tend to do all you can do to get an iPhone 13, I mean, you're just wasting your energy. So I'll be focusing more on Samsung. Still on the Samsung. Yeah, so you can see the difference between the Samsung guy and, of course, Nokia, right? While Nokia came before them, Nokia did not see the future. And Nokia did not also listen to what humans were saying. And that's why, I don't know if the paper can get around, but probably if it's in your table, you might have to start filling it up. There's really a point for you to listen to people. When you create ideas, right? We're talking to you today about blockchains. I mean, it's sounding super great. Again, ask questions. Keep asking questions. So that whatever ideas you're going to be generating, the lady in radiology, my first degree is physiology. Literally, when you study physiology, you're doomed. I didn't say psychology. I said physiology, and that's basic medical sciences. I mean, there's no hope for you. We were literally told that we could become, lecturers. Best till I'll be in strike now. I think that was like the best. Or they'll tell you, you're going to do some research. There are no research centers in Nigeria, so there was nothing for me, right? The problem is that we actually do not think. Physiology is not a problem. So I have a couple of friends that left us in Nigeria to say, physiology does not work here. When you get to Europe, there are lots of labs that were going to work. And trust me, we were going to make lots of money. I have a friend that's currently in Canada, and she told me that when she got there, she was surprised that the physiologists are actually guys that work in our gyms. Like we have gyms in Warri, so I want to look good, so I'm going to work there. The difference is, yes, you get good money, but you're just going to work in somebody's gym. So the problem is not even radiology. The problem is you need to think how to solve medical problems using tech. You need to think how to solve engineering problems using your Web3. I'm just hoping that probably we could have a Web4 from the guys that are sitting here. Anything is possible. You need to think. That's the idea of today's section. It's just to call us 2 steps backwards, that by the time you're done with all of today's section and you are back in your home seated, it's not enough to be excited, to just want to go in and get everything together. Take some time to reflect. Think of the problems that are in our society. Think of how best you can solve them. Think of how probably organizations like Verum can help you solve those problems. Think of how you can collaborate among yourself to solve problems in the world. It's the easiest way to make money, right? So next slide. Our queen in England just died. Not necessarily everybody's queen, but whether you like it or not, she's the queen, right? And in those days, again, like you saw in the phones, those guys with the cars, this particular, are the big boys. They also never thought that there would be a time where this could just be packed in somebody's garage. I don't think if we decide to gift this car to any of you, you would want to take it. It might still be expensive, right? Probably if you go to any of those museums where they are kept. But if you're driving it on the streets, I don't care, and I don't think anybody in this room cares. It doesn't make sense. I prefer to see you drive a Benz than this. This just makes you look, probably to me, broke and still praying for a turnaround, which is not a problem. The next slide. Yeah. So imagine the Benz of those days and the Benz that we now have. For Benz as a company, they were a forward-thinking company, right? From one generation to another, they thought about what people need, from comfort to class. So as you continue to create ideas to solve problems, you should begin to think about what next 20 years would look like with the solution that you already gotten today. So You might actually solve a problem now, and in the next 1 year, you can run out of business if you're not forward thinking. So like I told you, I run an organization firm for teachers, EduSort, and one of the things we're doing this year is to restructure. Yes, we know teachers need professionals development. They need trainings to be able to do great stuff in their classroom to help kids become better and all of that. But we have also come to understand that it's not just about the classroom alone. There's also a need for teachers' welfareism. There's also a need for teacher welfare, teachers' mental health. And those are some of the things we are restructuring into our own curriculum. It wasn't there before. We didn't see it. But we are now in a world where people seem to care so much about mental health. So the question is, how is my organization factoring that into continuously making change, right? So the question you should be asking yourself is, whatever ideas that you have, whatever careers that you're currently doing in whatever university, how are you thinking creatively? I don't want us leaving this room becoming doctors and you're just the doctor that needs to wear a stethoscope to treat someone. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Sooner or later, we'll have lots of machines that will help with those operations. But don't forget that there's actually somebody behind the machine. It could also be a doctor, because the doctor was supposed to understand the problem that humans will face in the next 20 years. And I mean, it's utilizing tech to solve that problem. So studying medicine should not limit you. It's not just reading the big books. I read lots of them. We were reading and walking on the streets so that we could pass exams. Did head and neck, but the truth is, when you're out of school, most of those things don't count. Even for a doctor that did all of those reading, needs better training, needs a good place to practice to become better. The next slide. All right, so these designs were super cool in their days, but human needs are always in constant change. If human needs are constantly changing, problem will constantly increase, and design should suit the need of the people. A lot of us ran out of business when COVID came, right? But I mean, if you're somebody that reads a lot, you would also have been told that lots of millionaires were made from COVID. I think we're having a problem in Nigeria at the moment. Serious inflation. There are still guys making lots of millions. So people become millionaires from problems. So when you don't have problems existing, you can actually become a billionaire. You can actually even utilize your blockchains very well. The question you should be asking yourself this afternoon is, with blockchain as a power in my hand, what is that problem that I can solve creatively? Now in the next 10 years, I'm still the person that people are going to for this problem, right? For this solution. What's that thing I can do differently? That even if the government of Nigeria thinks that they have a way of blocking some of the things that I'm doing, maybe with politics and policies, I could still have access to other people come for my services. So because I'm in the education space, I'll do a lot with that analogy. What I know would happen, I don't know if you guys have thought about it, is in the next 5-10 years, teachers that are not good with technology will be in soup. They'll be out of job. First off, very important, they need to actually get out of job so we can train people that can actually think forward, right? And the second thing is we're having an increase in security. I don't know if you followed the news a bit lately, where schools, not public, private schools in Abuja have been on lock for some weeks. So people would want to do lots of trainings online. See, guys, I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at running an online school. And I'm saying it because I think that you guys can do it, and there's a lot of space for everybody to thrive. So when somebody tells you, oh, you see this idea, keep it, not talk about, make person not know. If you go to any of those innovation hubs, you see 100 of those your ideas that you've taught. The problem is, some of them never took the step to, would it actually work? Let me just drop it there, and they walked out of it. For some other persons, they thought it was money. For you, who is a good design thinker, while money is actually a problem for social entrepreneurs, for startups, you can actually design something. You walk into a place like this, you're meeting Mr. Dominic to say, I have this idea. Do you want to buy into the idea? You're meeting some of your speakers here to say, oh, this is something I've created, and I would actually love you to look into this. Always get something to sell. And when you do that, you don't run out of business. So when you say, oh, friends there are some funny things I see online, like when your friends don't do things for you and people get pissed out, I feel that friends don't actually come to your aid because you're not valuable to them. Nobody throws a valuable friend away. It might not be money. You have to be sensible. I have to be sure that I'm coming to this place today and there's somebody I need to hold a discussion with that will give me the reasonable conversations I need to have today. It doesn't have to be money for that guy. I just need that guy because I need creativity in my thinking and the way I speak. And to add to it, I'm an Ijo. Do I speak like one? So actually, is it obvious? I don't think it is. I'm just one of the Ijos that don't speak like one. To add to it, I think everybody here, irrespective of our tribe, Ichekiri, Ijo, Urobo, South, we always believe, people always see us as militants. It's easy to always say, oh, that worry guy is just going to cause trouble here. We could actually turn those pictures of what they look us as to be something else. What if we are talking about the next group of tech students from your class that did something in the Technovation Challenge? We had some 5 girls in Anambra that won, I think, 2-3 years back, that won about 15,000 USD. So they were CEOs while they were secondary school students. So nobody is actually limiting you. School is not scam. I'm not going to agree with that. I know you didn't say it's a scam, but you made mention of, oh, so maybe if I might have not gone to school. School is great. If you leave Nigeria today with your first degree, you get to Harvard Business School, you study in Harvard, your ideas, when you come back to Nigeria and you want to implement ideas, you won't think the way I think. When I see failure, you see possibilities. It's our educational system, unfortunately. And it's actually not even our problem. But there's almost nothing we can do. Because the government needs us to think this way, so I will keep being this way, and they can keep cashing out. All right, next slide. Do you think the way ShopRite operates is design or coincidence? It's a question. Is it design or coincidence? It's a design. What if there were better ShopRites? Have you actually designed something? You walked up to someone and he refused funding you. So I work in a low-income community in Ogun State, and sometimes I go to Lagos. That's where my head office is. And so when I get back to that community, I need to charge my devices because I need to be online for different meetings and to work on different tasks, right? And there's this fast food that has, it's 3 steps. They have an up flat that is empty. And they run almost like 24 hours. So I come to your fast food to eat. I charge, but there's no always space. And so it looks like if I don't get there on time in the morning, if Dominic is there, Dominic has taken my spot. So I'm thinking, Dominic, can you just go out of this place? I need this space to do this work. I was tired of that. I walked to the manager one day and said, bro, see, there are people like me that come here. We don't want to eat. I know I buy food here. The truth is I need a place to work. And it's a village. But there are still people like me in this place that needs to work. We have an empty space up there. Is there a way you can convert that place for people like us? We don't mind paying something for it, no matter how small. So they are not cashing out from people like us coming to use their workstation as well as also eating. Right? So there's always an opportunity for us to turn problems into solutions and then make lots of money from it. So design thinking is an approach to solve problem by understanding users' needs and developing insights to solve those needs. Yeah, next slide. So looking at design thinking process. Design thinking is a process for creative problem solving. Guys, if your problem that you're trying to solve, if your solution is not looking like this, after a while it fizzes off. Did any of us use WeChat? You used it, right? How was it? It was boring. Telegram does not have a market. Do you know why? They have a solution. WhatsApp is still limited with numbers of guys that can get in, but WhatsApp is user-friendly. It makes sense to wake up in the morning and the first thing you're doing, sometimes without praying, is checking your WhatsApp. It doesn't make sense to check Telegram. It's not making sense. But Telegram is also solving. In fact, Telegram can actually make everybody in this room, or even 2,000, 3,000 of us, maybe from our grad schools, from university days, or our class, we're all in one place. It was supposed to solve a problem of the break in numbers. But why are people still not using it? Great. There's a market for them. But their solution is a bit complex. And so when you're thinking around solutions, try to make it clear and simple for people to use. That's the only way it would sell. All right, don't worry about this. Okay, so why design thinking? Like I said, I'm a teacher, so I would stop talking a bit, and I think I would have you guys talk, because that's how I actually learn too. Who can help us? Why do you think design thinking is important? I've been saying a lot. Please, please. Do I need to call? Do you want to help us? Why do you think it's important? No, just give it a try. You don't have an idea. Hi. Young man on the phone. Why do you think design thinking is important? I mean, I've been talking for over 15 minutes, and there has to be a reason why this topic is important to you, right? Your answer, yeah, you want to say?
The simplicity of interface matters so that it's easy to use. Anything you want to get it easier and it's faster.
Thank you. So guys, I love the fact that your hand is up. Another thing we need to learn, come forward. Another thing we need to learn is there are no right or wrong answers. Mark Zuckerberg's friend told him Facebook wouldn't work. I think some family members would have also did the same thing. So yeah, you might make a mistake with your definitions today. It doesn't mean that you still don't have something up there. So please, let's answer questions, yeah?
It helps you solve problems.
Great. It helps you solve problems. What school are you in?
Secondary
Secondary School. Nice. Thank you. Go to your say. So design thinking helps us solve problems. And I think that's why we're having the conversation. There is a problem in our community. There's a problem in worry, right? How do we solve those problems?
I think design thinking helps you to coordinate and synchronize information better than it was initially.
Perfect. But how they come? As I speak Pidgin English too. Okay. But may we look at it this way. Was this definition easy to understand? So that's the essence of design thinking. It was super correct with what he said. But I was wondering if my friend sitting on that side I came to answer could understood what he was saying. Most likely no. Maybe because she's not as exposed as he is. Right? So just to add, design thinking is to help your solutions become as simple as they can be so that we can actually get solutions to problems that we face. You want to say something? But you know that that's not a call out. You did well for answering your question.
You've actually said what I want to say. What I want to say is that it helps to make complex, problems easier. Design making. That's what I want to say.
All right. Thank you. So like you said, it helps to make complex stuffs easier. And when you come up with a business idea, right? And everybody talks about proposal, right? But again, your proposal should have a design thinking approach, especially when you look at fundings for ideas that you have. If you meet me, even if I'm not yet that kind of a millionaire that would want to give you that box, I would want to know if your solution will still be useful to us in the next 10 years. If it's not going to be useful, I'm not going to be a part of that. So I might not have the money to give you, but maybe I have some sense here to give, right? So I'll keep my sense to myself. There's no point wasting time for something that would end in the next 5 years. Life is too short to throw time away. So this slide talks about strengthening your team to solve existing problems for the people you are creating it for. Before now, we had always believed that solving problems are more about me having an idea, sticking to my idea, and owning it alone. So I make all the millions for myself. I don't care how you feel. But the truth is, aside blockchain, in the 21st century, one of the greatest skills that you can have across board, irrespective of whatever you're studying or whatever you want to become, is collaboration. Right? And that's what this is talking about. You can have an idea, you don't have the funds. You could look for someone that has the funds. So let me use this as a typical example. Mr. Ogaga needed to put this program up together. He has not yet spoken. We've had about 3 persons. We started with a virtual one, right? She joined us virtually, and we've had 2 other persons that have given us sections, and myself. And the only reason why that is possible was because he had the collaborative skill. Imagine if he had come here today to say, man, I have it all in my head. So I'm taking it up from morning till evening. I'm giving you guys everything in my head. I don't think it would have made as much sense as it is making now. Am I making sense? So he could actually have everything in his head, but there is a need to actually collaborate with people to make things easy and to make us successful. And so that's what that slide is talking about. When you create solutions to problem, you need to pass it through people. Sometimes you could need an extra person in your team to make it more successful. Interestingly for us, in this century where it's very difficult to be a guy, I'm sorry guys, it seems like they want to kick us out. We're going into extinction very soon. And it's very easy to be a girl. Let's forget about gender-based violence and the other stress. I mean, when you are a smart babe, it's easy. It's easy. I'll probably look for a female person in my team to be my co-founder because it will be easy for us to get grants and to get seed funding because there's a female in my team. So that's what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about guys breaking your heart. Don't worry. Right? So you need to build a team to actually get a meaningful solutions as much as possible. I mean, a gender-based team, equal guys, equal females, sometimes more females, unfortunately for the guys. You'll be fine. The next slide. All right. Reduce risk. So design thinking helps us to reduce risk. Right? You think ahead of what 5-10 years with that solution of yours can look like while you're actually creating it for today. So I'm creating a solution for a problem today using the blockchain, using Web3, doing all of those things together. But more importantly for us is, how do I stay relevant in the next 5-10 years? Sometimes your relevance can even be tied to collaboration. Sometimes your relevance can actually be tied to perception, different things, right? But the truth is, when you create solutions with a design thinking approach, it helps you reduce risk. It also helps organizations learn faster. So this is why we also need design thinking. Traditions are changing. No offense. Probably because I had worked with educators from different parts of the world. So when you talk about LGBTQ, I don't frown about it. Right? Because I've worked with some white folks. I would confidently talk about that in our meetings, and we are all cool. But this is what it is. The white man does not change his traditions for the black man, but will change ours for them, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that we have young guys in this room that would actually design solutions to problems that we face. But why traditions are changing, you would find a way to infuse your traditions into it. I can hear a job perfectly well. I can speak just a bit. It's already a problem for my children. If they don't stay with my mom, it means they most likely would not be able to speak that language. So it means their kids, of course, would just be funneering, and everybody thinks it's okay. But what we are doing is we are building an Africa system where we'll throw everything around our heritage away. So this is just like a call to action. Yes, tradition changes, but please, when creating your solutions to problem, try to find a way to infuse a bit of your traditions into it. It's very okay to be selfish, to be African. It's not a problem. You should enjoy it. To have a black skin in the midst of white skins, and you're doing very well. So this is what we do always. When we have this problem, let's jump in and get in a room and brainstorm solutions. We have this technology. What can we use it for? Our competitors just launched X. How can we launch XY? Right? Everybody is always in a rush. There is a need to make something out of life. And so we are always in a speed move to get things done. As much as you want to get those money, as much as you want to make as much as you need, to buy the great cars and all of that, there is a need for you to always step back and ask yourself questions. Would this make sense? Sometimes don't be afraid to think that people will take your solutions away. Ask questions with people. Talk to them. Hey, bro, this is what I'm thinking around. You don't need to give them every detail about it. But do you think this would work? I told you about having an online school, right? Did I tell you how I would get it done? I'm just saying you can also think about that and have an online school. Because sooner or later, everybody's going to be out of school. We don't need to be there because they'll come and kidnap both teachers and students. Right? Whether you're in the university or in secondary school, it doesn't matter. Everybody can be kidnapped at once. So we want to learn from our home comfortably. Find a way to create a solution that will make parents trust that when their kids come to your school, as an online school, it will make sense. So this is what design thinking combines, right? So design thinking uses both deductive and abductive approach to solve problems. Basically, forget those English. Waiting I try to talk for this slide, we say, design thinking, yeah, I'll wrap up quickly, thank you. Design thinking uses both your yesterday and your tomorrow to solve problem, not your today. So if you're not taking anything from this conversation, please remember that design thinking, all right, makes use of both yesterday and tomorrow, not today. So as you're thinking, think about tomorrow. You're already in today. So you should be more conscious about tomorrow. And you're using experiences from yesterday with that of your thinking around tomorrow to solve a problem. Next slide, next slide. Next slide. All right, so do I have up to 5 minutes? Ogaga, do I have up to 5 minutes? All right, please, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. All right, so stages of design thinking. Empathy, ideation, experimentation. I won't talk so much about it, but empathy, people always define empathy as walking in people's shoes. I find it a bit distorting. I can't walk in your shoes, guy. That's the truth. No matter how you want to design them. The idea of empathy is somebody has cancer. I don't have it. But I try to understand the pains that the person is going through. That's just what empathy is. But when you say you're walking on somebody's shoes, it literally means you're having the cancer to feel the person's pain. So you're not walking on anybody's shoes. You get your own shoe, that person gets your own shoe. But you understand what the person is actually feeling, and so you're creating solutions to that particular problem. Ideation, in short word, just means you have an idea and you're trying to put it all together to get something out of it. Experimentation. So I've created that app, I've created that solution, and again, I'm trying to experiment if it will work or not. Next slide. All right, next. I think I've defined those. All right, so design thinking focuses on people, all right? Think outside the box. So I even think my slide is not correct technically. There's actually no box to think about. Nothing is boxing anybody. Just think deep, think wide, think creative, think imaginative. Just forget about the box. There's no box boxing anybody, right? All right, experimental actions. Most importantly, I will wrap up with this. Feedback. So I have that great idea. I have a great solution with my organization, EduSort. I'm already solving lots of problems. I've trained about 5,000 teachers across the world, most of them in Nigeria, a bit of other African countries, few in South America. It makes sense. But last 3 weeks, I walked into Lagos Business School, and my business that I'd done for like 3 years, that made sense to me, and I can walk up here and say I'm a founder. My mentor destroyed the business in 5 minutes. And we built it together in 45 minutes. Basically, what am I saying? And when that was done, I took a pause. And I'm not doing any other thing this year. I'm rebuilding, I'm recreating, I'm re-strategizing for the future. And that's what you should do every time around whatever solutions you're creating. So that's what feedback is about. Learn how to take feedbacks from people. I would have most likely said, I've done this for like 3 years plus, and look at the numbers I've impacted. This man is just bluffing. I beg. Because he did LBS, not mean so you know past me, right? But guys, feedback is important from every single person that you're preparing or creating a solution for. I don't know if that's all, but I think because of time, I would just say thank you. It was nice having this conversation. And you can always get the slide from Mr. Ogaga.